9. The first question is multiplying powers, right? X squared times x to the power of 4. When you multiply powers with the same base, what do you do with the exponents? Add. Remember this? So the answer is x to the power of 6. When you divide powers with the same base, what do you do with the exponents? Subtract. So what's the answer for the second question? I don't have room. X to the power of, what's 12 take away 4? Good. When we have a power of a power, so we have x to the power of 4 to the power of 3. What do I do with the exponents? Multiply. So this becomes x to the power of 12. What would you do with the exponents here for dividing powers? Subtract the exponents. So it becomes 4 take away 4 is 0. So it's going to be 3 to the power of 0. What's actually happening when you divide a number by itself? It becomes 1, right? I can multiply this by 1. It doesn't change it. Punch this in on your calculator. 3 to the power of 0, and tell me what you get. Okay, you should get 1. Try 5 to the power of 0. Tell me what you get. Try 6 to the power of 0. Try 100 to the power of 0. So anything to the power of 0 will always result in 1, because if you think about it, it means that you're dividing the power by itself, which results in 1. This means 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 divided by 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. It all cancels out. 1 over 1, 1. Okay? So any non-zero base, so any base that's not 0, if it has an exponent of 0, the answer will always be equal to 1. Okay, so using the division rule, how would I rewrite 3 to the power of 3 divided by 3 to the power of 4 as a single power? What do I do with the exponents? Ika? Subtract, good. So the answer would be 3 to the power of, what's 3 take away 4? Negative 1, good. Let's write this in expanded form so you can see why this works. 3 to the power of 3 is 3 times 3 times 3 over 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, correct? How many of these get canceled out? So what am I left with? What number can I put here? What can I multiply this by that won't change it? So I'm left with, what is my answer? 1 over 3. Okay, so let's write this in factored form. 5 squared means 5 times 5, and then this would be 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. What am I left with? 1 over, what's 5 times 5? 25, or I can write 5 squared, or 1 over 25, right? If I rewrite this as a single power, what am I doing with the exponents? Division, what do we do with the exponents? Subtracts. So this is actually 5 to the power of, what's 2 take away 4? Negative 2. Do you notice a pattern happening here? 5 to the power of negative 2 becomes 1 over 5 to the power of positive 2. 3 to the power of negative 1 became 1 over 3 to the power of positive 1. What do you think, let's do 6 to the power of negative 3 would be equal to? 1 over 6 to the power of positive 3. Good. So what do you think the rule is when you have a negative exponent? Okay, so anytime we have a power with a negative exponent, so as an example, let's do 1 over 4 to the power of negative 2. First step, write the reciprocal of the base. This is the base of the power, right? What's the reciprocal of 1 over 4? What's the reciprocal of that? 4, or 4 over 1, right? You just flip it around, and we make the exponent positive. That's it. 4 squared is the answer to this one. So, yeah. Negative 2, I can write this as negative 2 over 1. Reciprocal of that is 1 over negative 2. I'm not changing the sign, okay? It's just the reciprocal. So the base becomes 1 over negative 2, and what happens to the exponent? It becomes positive 5. Okay, I can write this like this, or I can write it like this, 1 to the power of 5 over negative 2 to the power of 5, right? It's everything in the base to the power of 5. What's 1 to the power of 5? What's negative 2? So all of that, including the negative, negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, negative 32. This is the answer. Can I write it like this? Negative 1 over positive 32? Does it matter where I put the negative sign? No.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.